Yeah, hi there, and these comments are to one of my students, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT, and you did my integrated writing practice test number 11. I'm looking at it right now. So first of all, thank you for completing this particular assignment. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here, but I might make it too big. Yeah, it makes it a little bit too big. So let's go back to 100%. Okay, so let's take a look. So in the beginning, the first thing I'm going to recommend for you is, if we take a look at the word count, you have 104 words. I would recommend a minimum of 250 to even 350 words on this, because you want to show you don't just focus on the main points, you can also give some supporting details from the two passages. Right? So what I'm going to do is show you how you do that. So you say the reading passage states, I'm going to say here, benefits about socialism. And the lecture corrects or clarifies each of these beliefs, which is good. Okay, now, you say, first of all, the reading passage claims socialism allows for more justice by transferring the rights and responsibilities. The reading here says socialism allows for more justice by transferring the rights and responsibilities. You can't copy directly. That is not going to help your score at all. So that's considered plagiarism. Plagiarism means when you're paraphrasing or summarizing ideas, you need to use your own grammar and your own vocabulary, because you're trying to show that you have some writing proficiency, and you're not showing it here. You want to say, in a socialist society, the rights, I'm going to say obligations instead of using responsibilities. The rights and obligations are moved from the individuals and families to the state. So first of all, in a socialist society, the rights and obligations are moved from individuals and families to the states. We'll say as fairer way to operate maybe we'll say to function. And then we'll say, in this regard, the state is in charge, instead of saying responsibility, ensuring all citizens have sufficient food and money for their needs. That's pretty good. I think we have it. So what we did here is we're doing two things really. The first thing that we're trying to do is to paraphrase the information in the reading passage, right? That means trying to use our own vocabulary and our own grammar. So if you compare the two reading passages, you'll see that this is a little bit different. So first of all, in a socialist society, the rights and obligations are moved from individuals and families to the state, which, according to the reading passage, is seen as a fair way to function. In this regard, the state is in charge of ensuring that all citizens have sufficient food and money for their needs. So now we can get rid of this. However, the lecturer disagrees with this belief, saying that it is injustice. So we have to look at this more closely, right? So you're on the right track. You have a fairly good understanding of the actual reading passage, but to be honest with you, your vocabulary limitations, to me, if you copy the sentence directly from the reading passage, it's saying that you don't have any vocabulary or grammar of your own, therefore you have to copy exactly. But that doesn't really show me what your writing proficiency is. Okay, so if we take a look at this, it says here, as for the first idea mentioned, that socialism seeks for more justice, it may in the process actually creating justice. It says it destroys true liberty. So you have to develop this idea more. So the lecturer disagrees with this belief, saying that it is injustice because socialism restricts or destroys, try and use my own words here, restricts We say, however, the lecturer disagrees with this belief, saying that it is injustice because socialism restricts freedom. But why is that? It says, the freedom to decide all matters that lie within our own competence and to follow the course shown by our own reason within the laws of morality, including the dictates of justice and charity. And you might say, furthermore, how about believes that, we'll say, individuals are robbed their free agency, which means freedom, So I think we have it. So now we're showing a little bit more here. So let's take a look. So this is our second paragraph. Just this one paragraph, think about it for a minute. Just the paragraph 2 that I've rewritten here is longer than your entire essay. But this shows you the kind of development that you need to be able to do here. So I think we have it. You say, first of all, in a socialist society, the rights and obligations are moved from individuals and families to the state, which, according to the reading passage, is seen as a fair way to function. In this regard, the state is in charge of ensuring that all citizens have sufficient food and money for their needs. However, the lecturer disagrees with this belief, saying that it is injustice I'm going to change this around a little bit. The socialism encourages injustice in that it restricts freedom. Furthermore, the speaker believes that individuals are robbed of their free agency because they are denied the chance to show justice and charity Furthermore, in a socialist country, the speaker believes that individuals are robbed of their free agency because they are denied the chance to show justice and charity on their own, since the state is now in charge of that responsibility, as the reading passage contends. So there we go. I think that's it. Now we have a fairly developed second paragraph. This is the kind of development I'm looking for on the final exam in this class. So let's move on to the next paragraph. Okay, let's go to the next one. Remember, even when you're paraphrasing, you need to use your own grammar and your own vocabulary. This is very important for your writing at the graduate level. Okay, the next idea says, in addition, the socialism seeks to promote absolute equality among citizens of a society, so it sees inequality as unjust in itself. The reading passage says it's immoral to have one person earn $44,000 a year while someone else in the same town earns $500,000 annually. Toward this aim, socialism seeks to narrow the gap between the poorest wage earners and those who earn the most. All right, so we have the idea. To close the gap, socialist societies impose higher taxes on the wealthy, which is in turn used to fund programs and social services for the most disadvantaged. Okay, so for you, you say the reading passage claims that socialism, let's say here instead of promote, encourages, instead of absolute, you can say exact equality So that's probably better here. So second of all, the reading passage claims that socialism encourages equality by trying to, for example, we'll say by trying, for example, to close the gap between the high and the low wage earners. So the author The author further states that socialist societies typically will make the rich pay higher taxes, which is later used to pay social programs for the poor. Now we have it. So now we're developing our ideas a little bit more. Check out this. So in this second paragraph we have the first 3 lines focus on the reading passage, then the last 3 or 4 lines focus on the lecture. That's kind of what we're trying to do. See if we have it. The reading passage claims that socialism encourages exact equality for trying, for example, to close the gap between the high and low wage earners. The author further states that socialist societies typically will make the rich. Then we might say something like this, and this shows cause-effect. Therefore, the author further states that socialist societies typically will make the rich pay higher taxes, which is later used to pay for social programs for the poor. In contrast, the lecture argues that this kind of equality is unfair and unreal. So I think you're having a little bit of trouble with noun clauses, right? So I want you to go to Google. Here are some key words for you. What is a noun clause? How about this? Noun clauses in English grammar. So see if you can figure that out. That's going to be useful if you can use that a little bit better in your writing. Alright, so I think you're getting there. So the lecture argues that this kind of equality is unfair and unreal, but why does it say that? So you have to go to this paragraph here. So it says, and even though socialism seeks to promote equality, it promotes equality in the most radical sense. For example, employers such as Apple, Ford, Toyota are quickly portrayed as exploiters whose profits really belong to their employees. As a result, socialists rule out the system of wage earning, which is used by non-socialists to pay employees hourly wages rather than a fixed salary. So I don't think it's not really unfair and unreal. I would just say is extreme. Because companies can be branded. You could probably put here can be unfairly as exploiting their employees in order to make profits. So what else does it say? You might say, for instance. You might want to say a company like Apple or Ford so it says here, socialists rule out the system of wage earning to pay employees hourly wages rather than a fixed salary. may have its payment system eliminated or radically changed so that employees are I think we have it. I think we have this paragraph done. So what I'm doing is trying to take these ideas and integrating them into here. And this is what I'm doing here. So again, if you look at this paragraph, again, just the word count for paragraph 2 is longer than your entire essay. You see what we're saying? Okay, so in this one we have, third of all, the reading passage claims that socialism promotes relativism. You have the lecture respects that, so let's go back to see. It says it promotes relativism, but you don't say because. So then you might say here, in the I'm going to say everyone. You might say, for example, we'll say between a man and a woman. Okay, I think we have it. So we have, third of all, the reading passage claims that socialism promotes relativism in the sense that there are no exact right and wrong ways of behaving that apply to everyone in a society. For example, according to the reading passage, marriage should not be limited to being a legal union between a man and a woman. And that explains why in socialist countries they encourage, they allow, they like gay marriage. This is especially applying Okay, so with the lecture, we need to double check, make sure you have all the points. This was the most developed of all the topics in the lecture, yet you're not really doing that here in your writing. It says, with respect to the idea that socialism promotes relativism and therefore rejects religion, goes counterculture to what many Christian, Buddhists, Jews, and Muslims believe. In the socialist sense, the idea that there is a God who is infinite and powerful clashes with their idea of absolute equality. In addition, according to them, everything evolves, including what is right and what is wrong and good and evil. Therefore, there is no place for the Ten Commandments, the Bible, or Holy Scriptures from other religions. This is the key here. You have, at the very end here, it says that these relativistic ideas will lead to the destruction of religion, the family, and eventually our society. You say the lecture respects that. No, the lecture does not respect that. If you look at what the lecture says here, it says, with respect to the idea that socialism promotes relativism, whatever, goes counterculture to many religious organizations. So here, you have to say, in contrast, the lecture claims that the idea of equality, absolute equality, and moral relativism it goes against many religions. Contends, you probably just say it like this, contends that this idea of cultural it says destruction. I'm going to use demise because we need another vocabulary word here. In addition, the lecturer contends that this idea of cultural relativism will lead to the demise, we'll say, of not only religion, and societies. I think we have it here. Okay, so I would also suggest that you put a conclusion in here where it says to conclude. You can probably say this, the listening passage has a very negative view of the definition and benefits of socialism mentioned in the reading passage. That's it. So we have it. So remember that you wrote 104 words, and then I rewrote yours. I'm showing you what you'd have to do to get 5.0 out of 5 or 30 points out of 30 on this. I increased the word count to 381 words. So I wrote about 3 times more than what you wrote. You had the connection. You more or less understand what's going on, but you're not filling out all the gaps. So you're leaving out some important ideas, I think, from either the reading passage or the lecture. All right, now let's take a look at what we have here. And we want to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, and we'll make a few more corrections. So the first thing we want to do here is to do spell check. So let's take a look at this. So we'll go to autocorrect. So it says, the reading passage states 3 benefits about socialism. The lecture corrects or clarifies each of these beliefs. First of all, in a socialist society, the rights and obligations are moved from individuals and families to the state, which, according to the reading passage, is seen as a fair way to function. In this regard, the state is in charge of ensuring that all citizens have sufficient food and money for their needs. However, the lecture disagrees with this belief, saying that socialism encourages injustice and that it restricts freedom. Furthermore, in a socialist country, the speaker believes that individuals are robbed of their free agency because they are denied the chance to show justice and charity on their own, since the state is now in charge of that responsibility, as the reading passage contends. So we're done with that. Second of all, the reading passage claims that socialism encourages exact equality by trying, for example, to close the gap between the high and low wage earners. Therefore, the author further states that socialist societies typically will make the rich pay higher taxes, which is later used to pay for social programs for the poor. In contrast, the lecture argues that this kind of equality is extreme because companies can be unfairly branded as exploiting their employees in order to make profits. Maybe let's put here, having exploited, maybe might be better. For instance, a company like Apple or Ford may have its payment system eliminated or radically changed so that employees are paid a fixed salary rather than an hourly rate. It's good, we got it. The next one. Third of all, the reading passage claims that socialism promotes relativism in the sense that there are no exact right and wrong ways of behaving that apply to everyone in a society. For example, according to the reading passage, marriage should not be limited to being a legal union between a man and a woman. This especially being true since morality evolves as society progresses. In contrast, the lecture claims that the idea of absolute equality and moral relativism goes against many religions. In addition, the lecture contends that this idea of cultural relativism will lead to the demise of not only to religion, but also to families and societies. To conclude, the listening passage has a very negative view of the definition and the benefits of socialism mentioned in the reading passage. Okay, now we want to take a look at the rubrics that are used to score this, and I will put these in the email for you so you can take a look at them. You're not getting in the 4 range. You are not getting in the 3 range even. The 2 range, let's see. Maybe the 1 range. I don't know. Let me look at 1 here. Let's see. You did have some relevant content, so I think you left out some important information, I think, from the lecture. Your response demonstrates a misunderstanding, I think, of the information in the lecture and how it relates to the reading passage. You needed to, don't get me wrong, you understand more or less that the listening is opposite of what was said in the reading passage, but you weren't able to include, I think, all the important facts and information in there. So I'm going to put you here at about 2.0 out of 4 or 14 points out of 30 on this practice test. Now, if you go into the syllabus and we go into writing, we need to figure out what your writing score is here. So 2.0 out of 5, actually, not 4. This puts you at 64% on this particular writing assignment. So, what do you do, if anything? I think for you it's not really a writing problem that you're having right now. You're having more of a listening problem, maybe even a reading problem, but you don't have the grammar and the vocabulary, I think, to really explain your ideas, and that's why you're just copying. Instead of trying to use your own grammar and your own vocabulary, you simply copy the information from either the reading or the listening passage, and from the listening passage you can't really get the information. It's just too hard for you for whatever reason. So I think if you continue to improve your vocabulary and your grammar, you will find that your speaking and your writing will get better. That's what's going to happen. All right?